This is reposted.
Andrew, my kids have no idea who Madonna is.
You asked them who she was and they didn't know?
They were like, "What? What? Who's that? Is that some?"
You failed. You failed as a parent. You should throw in the towel.
I feel like they actually thought it was some sort of pasta dish. They're like, "Yeah, you're making Madonna tonight." I'm like, "No, you can't. She's a." But I remember asking my dad, and my dad once was like, "Hey, do you know who Fred Astaire is?" And I'm like, "I got no idea who Fred." He was like, "You don't know who Fred Astaire." So I feel like, hey, we all have our limits.
Yeah, I had that with Buster Keaton.
What?
Yeah.
Your dad was like, "Hey, what's your favorite Buster Keaton video?" And you're like, "Who's Buster Keaton?"
Yeah.
Okay.
But now I know.
All that to say is today's quote comes from Madonna, not a buttery pasta dish. She says, "I've been popular and unpopular, successful and unsuccessful, loved and loathed, and I know how meaningless it all is. Therefore, I feel free to take whatever risks I want." Ooh, I bet my kids need a little dose of Madonna now.
I agree with what she's saying, but I think you need to caveat, or it might be obvious, but she has made the money that therefore she feels free to take whatever risks she wants. Like, she has a safety net that's endless. But I think what I take away from this is you can get caught up by being popular, and that can make you lose whatever is in your best. I went microphone cut out, but I think we're back. One time I was playing poker at the state line between Tahoe and Nevada, and I sat down. I was by myself. I bought him for $20. It's a $5 table, and I just went on a tear, and I couldn't lose. And people slowly started watching me and like cheering me on. I got up to $1,000, and I was playing 3 hands at $100 a hand, and I was just like going fast. And when I got up, I was like, I need to get out of here. But I got caught up in the popularity of like the gallery cheering me on, and so I lost it. I went back to $20, so I went net zero. So I had like a 30-minute run, and I got caught up in what made me popular, and it wasn't in my best interest.
Dang, I love that story. I feel sad that I've never known that before.
Yeah, I got so many stories.
Okay, here's what I will push back on you about the Madonna thing.
Yeah,
I think she has lots to lose. She's been a successful musician. She tours. She's rich. She's famous. And if she puts out a dud of an album, everybody's going to call around and say, you're old, washed up, you're finished. She has a lot to lose artistically, but she's saying, nope, I don't have it, because I love the idea that she still knows what it feels like to be unsuccessful, and she knows what it's like to be loathed, and she says it all doesn't matter.
I think we're taking this quote slightly differently. I think that she's saying that you can take the pleasure in the failure because it doesn't matter what other people think. And maybe she's approaching things creatively, like, this is what I want to do, and it doesn't matter if my team is saying it's a good idea or a bad idea. It's what I want to do. And when I put out my album or whatever she does, she won't regret not letting her voice go through.
This is a great idea. Even Madonna. So I used to be somebody in my former life, a radio DJ, and would have to go to these meet and greets with people backstage.
Uh-huh.
And you think like Joe Blow walks in the room, the Jonas Brothers, and everybody's going to geek out. And for the most part, they do. But there's some people that don't even care. Like, they're just like, the Jonas Brothers, whatever. My 13-year-old go crazy. And same with Madonna. I think she realized there's just always going to be people in the world that don't care. Like you got caught up in your own popularity. If you realize ultimately what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, nobody cares. It doesn't matter. You should just do what your heart is telling you. That's a good place to be.
Yeah. I think also it can apply to, I guess, different business endeavors. Like, if you're doing something that isn't necessarily making money, like a podcast,
what?
If you keep doing it, it doesn't matter if you're successful or not. I want to take the risk. And so I'm going to do it and put it out there, and hopefully eventually people will listen to it.
I would just say this. What is risk? What is ultimately risk? For instance, like, we start a podcast or someone starts a job. I met a guy over the weekend. His name is Mona. He basically fled Cameroon for his life because his dad was a political prisoner. Mm-hmm. He literally took a plane from Ethiopia to Ecuador, then walked from Ecuador to Mexico and then entered the United States. He said the worst part was crossing the Panamanian jungle. Now that is a decision. Me and you and our tiny little risks that we have to take, those are risks. Panamanian jungles, that's a risk.
That's a physical risk, but I think you have to also give credit to everyone has different perspective of risk. Like if I was Jeff Bezos, I would still have the same amount of fear as if I was born in a jungle and never seen civilization. Like the risk is real to you and you have to honor that.
My point is though, if you step outside of your purview,
right, the perspective on what we're doing doesn't matter. And it can matter, but it
matters to me.
It doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. So I don't know. Madonna's doing good things.
She is?
Did you know that she's getting sued left and right because she was showing up like an hour or two late to all her concerts and then they'd go late?
That doesn't surprise me.
I think it's because she realized she can take whatever risks she wants because it's meaningless in the end.
Well, who thought Madonna's going to show up on time? Did someone think that?
I don't know. I personally think everyone should show up on time.
That's just you. Not
Guys,
Madonna.
if you don't think this show is meaningless and you have a quote you'd like us to further explore, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for The Madonna, saying thanks for stopping by.